was a man of flesh and blood. Before I was sealed within this armored sarcophagus, I fought beneath the banner of my primarch, Leman Russ, during the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy. I stood upon battlefields that reshaped the fate of the Imperium, and I beheld the Emperor himself before he was bound forever to the Golden Throne. In those days, I was a warrior of the Vilka, sworn to patrol the Third Great Company, and I served under the command of the Jarl Ogvi Helmscroll. I was not a man of many words. I fought where I was told, and I endured what duty demanded of me. My blade tasted blood in many theaters of war, from the grinding silence of the Olympic Quietude campaign to the burning skies of Prospero. It was on Prospero that my saga truly began. Before that battle, I had been burdened with a task I did not seek. The guardianship of the remembrancer, Casper Hauser. I had wrongfully shot down his shuttle when he first came to Fenris, mistaking him for an enemy. To atone for that error, I was ordered to keep him alive. I did so unwillingly, though fate would prove that bond was not without purpose. The truth of what transpired upon Prospero has been eroded by time, but this much is known to me. Something foul had taken an interest in Hauser. Whether a warlock of the Thousand Sons, or a never-born abomination of the warp, I cannot say. It sought to use the man as a spy against my legion, though its true aim was far darker. To ensure the confrontation between the Space Wolves and the Thousand Sons ended in mutual annihilation. The creature revealed itself to Hauser amid the chaos of battle. When it did, defiant even in terror, he buried his axe in the monster's skull. It did not fall. Instead, it seized him and began to crush the life from his body, its malice made manifest. I intervened. I hacked its arm from its body, the elbow, and tore Hauser free. Pressing the attack, I struck the creature again and again, each blow driven by fury and duty alike. Yet it would not die. Instead, it reached into Hauser's mind, using fell sorcery to pluck the true names of my brothers from his thoughts, turning that knowledge into a weapon. But the sorcery failed against me. Hauser had always known me as Bjorn, and in his mind, he had translated that name simply as Bear. He did not know my true name, and so the creature could not wield it against me. Where my brothers failed, I endured. I continued my assault, driving the abomination back step with my step, even as it lashed out in desperation. Then it seized my arm. A surge of warp energy coursed through my hand, and I felt it begin to smoulder and rot where it stood. Corruption crept upward, eating its way toward my heart. Still, I did not relent. I fought on, grim and unyielding, even as my flesh failed me. Salvation came at last. A rune priest arrived, accompanied by a squad of Sisters of Silence, 2 Space Wolves Dreadnoughts, and according to some accounts, Constantine Valdor of the Legio Custodes himself. The pariah gene of the Silent Sisters shattered the creature's sorcery, and the 2 Dreadnoughts reduced it to ruin, grinding it into nothing beneath their fury. At the same moment, either Hauser or Valdor, the truth of which has been lost, severed my corrupted arm at the elbow, halting the spread of the warp's poison, and saving my life. In the aftermath, I was hailed by those who survived. Hauser spoke of me often, calling me a hero for standing against such a horror and driving it back when others had fallen. I did not see myself as such. I had only done what duty demanded, and what I always would. I was young then, young by the measure of our kind, during the days of the Horus Heresy. My strength was untested by time, my purpose still being shaped. Yet, even so, my saga had already begun to take form. I had distinguished myself upon Prospero, where the fires of betrayal burned brightest, and the skalds had begun to whisper my name among their songs. I stood and looked upon the Horus demon itself. I heard its words, words heavy with mystery and ill purpose, spoken not merely to threaten, but to wound the soul. From that day onward, others spoke of me as if some deep word had entwined itself with my fate. My path was chosen time and again to strike where resistance was fiercest, where death waited most eagerly. It was upon the acrid, volcanic world of Girth that the course of my life turned irrevocably. My pack and I had broken tyrants, slaughtered Xenos beyond counting, and even struck down those of our own kind who had turned from the Emperor's light. Yet, none of that prepared us for Arvax, the Ark Slaughterer, Demon King of Khorne. Against him, my brothers knew only death. That I survived when all others fell is a truth that still weighs heavy upon me. Every warrior who stood beside me that day was slain. The demon reaped them all, and I alone was left standing amid the ruin. It was not skill alone that spared me, but stubborn refusal, a refusal to fall while my brothers lay butchered at my feet. Though the arrival of Leman Russ broke the demonic host and won the field, it was my unrelenting assault that at last drove our vats from battle. Even so, there was no triumph in it for me. I had survived when I should have shared their fate, denied the glorious death they had been granted. In the hours that followed, I would not accept the praise of those who witnessed the battle. As my pack burned upon the piles of victory, I knelt before them and gave voice to a long and mournful howl. There, before the flames, I swore an oath of vengeance against the creature that had slain them. 5 long standard years passed before word of our vats reached us again. When it did, Russ himself led the hunt, intent upon destroying the Demon King with his own hand. Yet fate would not grant him that kill. I found our vats first. As the Wolf King tore through the cornate horde, he saw my doom unfold. I remember the moment clearly. The blow that would have split me in twain, the roll beneath it, the climb up, the demon's towering form, and the tearing of his throat with my wolf claw. All vats fell at last. My oath was fulfilled. When the battle was done, Russ came to me before the Legion and declared my debt paid. He named me Fell-Handed in honor of that deed and raised me to his personal wolf guard. The scholars say it was the loss I had endured and mastered that led Russ to leave me behind when he departed upon his final journey. Of all his guard, only I had learned to endure command's loneliness. No one knows what became of Leman Russ. Some say he vanished within the Eye of Terror while seeking his brother, Lionel Johnson. Others claim he walks still among mankind, unseen, guarding the Emperor's people. All that is certain is that he disappeared in 211 M31, nearly 2 centuries after the Emperor was bound to the Golden Throne. We were gathered upon Fenris when it happened, celebrating the feast of the Emperor's ascension. Russ rose to speak, then fell silent, his gaze fixed upon some vision only he could see. He summoned his wolf guard, all save me. When he departed the hall, I alone was left behind. Every 1,000 years, I retell that tale. It was no accident that Russ chose me to lead in his absence. During the Great Scouring, Each year after his disappearance, his place was set to the feast. His horn was filled should he return. After 7 years of waiting, the Wolf Lords named me Warden of the Chapter. When it became clear Russ would not return, I took his mantle and became the first Great Wolf. I called the first Great Hunt. The great companies scattered across the stars, each seeking our lost father. From that day onward, I gave all that I was, first as Great Wolf, then as Dreadnought, and now as the chapter's memory and conscience. My mortal life ended during the Proxima Rebellion. My body was shattered beyond saving, and I was entombed within this iron shell. I surrendered my rank, knowing I could no longer lead as before. Yet, even then I did not rest. For 5 centuries I fought on, until time itself demanded stasis. Now, I am awakened only when my chapter has greatest need. To face Magnus the Red at the Battle of the Fang. To mediate during the months of shame. Or to speak at the dawn of each new millennium. When I rise to speak at the great feast, the halls fall silent. Generations may live and die without seeing me, and so my presence is treated with reverence. I speak of the Great Crusade, of Russ, of the old days, the young here legend. I remember truth. Only when I speak of Russ's departure does my voice falter. Even after 10 millennia, the wound remains. To my battle brothers, I am the chapter's memory. To their Great Wolf, my word is law. When I take the field, they fight as if Russ himself were watching. And when I am struck, their fury knows no bounds. For in my survival, they see their Primarch's gaze. And in my fall, should it ever come, they would see his judgment. When I was still counted among the living, I bore the arms and raiment befitting one of Leman Russ's Wolf Guard. I wore a suit of Master Rod's artificial armor, its plates forged to honor both my station and my service. Upon one arm, I wielded a wolf claw, a weapon I mastered as naturally as breathing. In the other, I carried a bolter, modified with a pistol grip, allowing me to fire it one-handed in the press of battle. The wolf claw was more than a weapon to me. It had become my hand. The Iron Priests had refused my request for an augmented replacement after I lost my organic limb. They deemed it unsuitable, perhaps unnecessary. the wolf claw for myself, claimed it, and used it not merely as a tool of war, but as the limb I had been denied. From that day onward, it served as both appendage and blade, an extension of my will, as much as my flesh had ever been. After my body was shattered, and I was interred within this iron sarcophagus, the Iron Priests fashioned a new claw in my honor, sized for my Dreadnought chases. It was created as a remembrance of the weapon I had favored in life. They named it True Claw. I wield it now, as I once did its lesser predecessor, though its power far exceeds anything I bore as a living Astartes. True Claw rings ceramite and flesh of light with ease, and it houses a heavy flamer within its frame, allowing me to reduce to ash any foe that slips beyond its grasp. Upon my other arm, I bear a ranged weapon, most often an assault cannon. To a Dreadnought, what a bolt it is to a space marine. When the need arises, the Iron Priests will instead arm me with a plasma cannon, a Hellfrost cannon, or twin-linked las cannons as the battle demands. Yet, for all this iron and fire, my greatest weapon is not claw nor cannon, nor even the knowledge earned through long centuries of war. It is my legend. To stand in my presence stirs my brothers, as if they stood before our Father himself. They fight harder, strike faster, and hurl themselves into danger with a ferocity that makes even their usual acts of near suicidal bravery seem tame by comparison. I do not seek this. The honors and adornments with which my sarcophagus has been decorated sit ill with me. I regard them as excess and as falsehood. In my heart, I believe Russ left me behind because I failed him in some way that I have yet to understand. That belief has never left me, and so I judge myself unworthy of the reverence my brothers grant me so freely. Still, I am not blind to my purpose. I understand what I represent to them, a living memory of their primarch and father, a standard by which they measure themselves. And so, I bear their veneration in silence, voicing my doubts only in private to the other Dreadnoughts who rest beneath the Fang, where such thoughts may be spoken without weakening those who still